Yes, hi, James. One of the things I admire about your programme so much is that you manage to take geopolitical, complex, emotional and horrible situations and turn them into a debate worthy of a lower fifth common room.
I'm sorry, was that an insult?
Yeah, it was
sorry.
actually.
So you were
managed to reduce things.
Okay.
Well, anyway, let's take your ego out of this for a second.
Well, then don't talk about me the minute you come on the radio.
But it's your programme, James, so you have to take responsibility for it.
I know I am, but I didn't realise, just for people listening, you were being very clever when you pretended you were paying a compliment, but actually it was an insult.
Let's not make this about you.
But all you've done so far is talk about me.
But James, it's your programme.
I haven't got the energy. Sorry, Annie.
So I really appreciate that today the talk is on anti-Semitism, and I appreciate the concerns of my fellow citizens. But on the other hand, I, as a British Muslim, my brothers and sisters, they are being killed in Gaza. And all I'm seeing across the mainstream media and by Western leaders is the dehumanization of Palestinians and the aiding and abetting of mass murder.
Can you give me an example of how? Can you give me an example of how the mainstream media are dehumanizing Palestinians?
So, for example, we are being told that the horror that happened on Saturday, that there is no justification for it, right? 70 years of horror that the Palestinians face, we are being told that that's no justification. That's not a justification for what happened on Saturday. But on the other hand...
Do you think it is?
So hold on one second. On the other hand, what that Saturday is now a legitimate justification by all Western leaders for so far the 500 kids that have been killed in Gaza so far. We are being told that Saturday is a reason why it's okay to bomb a strip of land where 50% of the people are children, where 2/3 of the population are actually refugees. Their land is on the other side of the fence. They were displaced from there and put there, and they're being bombed, and nobody's talking about the 70 years of history.
No, they are.
I don't hear you talking about it, Sheila. I do not hear LBC. All of the people on LBC, all of your counterparts are not talking about the 70 years of horror nearly as much as they're talking about the one day of horror that happened last Saturday.
Well, Usman, can I just say, to a degree, that is the function of news, okay? That we talk about things that are happening now. But to say that the media, this programme, other programmes, other networks, isn't looking at the historical backdrop to all of this simply isn't true, Usman. For example, I have been talking about podcasts that I have listened to that go back to the carving up of the Middle East in the Sykes-Picot Agreement. I've been talking about the sort of founding years of the Israel-Palestine conflict. I've been talking about the Balfour Agreement in relation to this conflict that's gone on for years. It is simply not true to say that the whole story hasn't been alluded to. Now, the story this week on Saturday was that Hamas terrorist attack on the innocent people in southern Israel. The story that I began my programme with today is global concern for the innocent civilians of Gaza. So it simply isn't true what you're saying. You may be frustrated, Usman.
Can you just tell me this?
No. I'll listen again in a moment. But I can't be fair. I really must be firm about this. You can't come on and just lazily say things that simply aren't true and haven't happened. I've just given you a brief thumbnail sketch of the kind of sort of decades-long context we're giving to what's happening this week. By the way, context never means excuse for or justification for. It just...
As a purist, Raj, you're absolutely right. But it has, and unfortunately the horse has bolted, or whatever the expression is, and it goes back. And so as we've now lost that, and as a purist, I'm with you, but that's now lost, my friend. This is absolutely wrong. Absolutely.
Listen, I condemn what's happened on both sides, okay? But 75% of the people live in Palestine are children, okay? And these bombing, what's happening, and all these destruction.
Horrific.
So you think thousands of people have died with, and as far as the king condemning this, okay, it's his family who killed He's a Nazi anyway.
Sorry? Hang on. Did you say... Hang on, stop the tape. Did you say the king is a Nazi? Did I hear that?
No. I said...
Sorry.
The king's family, right, from, I believe their generations going back to Hitler.
No,
right,
that's a yellow. I'm sorry, that's a yellow card. I think you're referring to the close relationship between the king who abdicated and his wife Wallis Simpson and Adolf Hitler and Goebbels, the propaganda minister, and the close relationship there. But I've got to rule that. That's a yellow card. So it's not red. You'll come back on the pitch, but I'm afraid you serve a suspension for today because those views, particularly at a charged time like this, please, all of you. And by the way, what you were saying was right. It is horrific. Of course it's horrific that thousands of Palestinians are likely to die. Of course that's horrific.
Hi there. Everyone's been comparing the war to, that Israel, that the Hamas is treating Israel like terrorists, like the Holocaust, right, where they're going in and literally slaughtering people.
Which they have done.
Which they have done. But my personal opinion is that the way Israel are treating the people in Gaza is like a ghetto. They've cooped them up there, 2 million people in a tiny space of land, about 20 by 10 kilometres. Right. Now, everyone's trying to say that the Gaza civilians are not behind the Hamas, but I don't blame them if they are, and I do think they are, because this is how they've been locked up in there. It is unacceptable, and no one is voicing their opinion, and even their Arab nations are joining up with Israel, and they don't realise what Israel is doing to them.
Well, they clearly do.
The only way to voice their opinion...
They clearly do understand the situation in Israel. They see Hamas as a malignant cancer on the Palestinian movement, which they are. They know that it's actually, at least in part, Hamas who is responsible for the fact that the peace talks have not progressed over the last years, because there have been chances to get a two-state solution, and yet it is largely the extremists who sort of made sure that doesn't happen. So that Israel actually left Gaza in 2005 and left it to be self-governed. And it's been a terrible failure by the Palestinians to actually achieve effective self-government.
Right, well, how do you want them to make an effective government with, everything being limited and watched by Israel, which comes into the country, right, which comes into their tiny little space, right? And they've got no space for the people. Israel aren't giving them, enough to deal for 2 million people, and Israel is only about 8, and it's, who knows how much bigger it is, even though it's so small.
So all you've done in this phone call is talk about the plight of the Palestinians in Gaza, and I'm not going to disagree that the living conditions there have been appalling for a very long time. I completely agree with that. But
right,
you
what
think
do you want Hamas to do if this is the only way to voice their opinion?
Well, so you think this is the way they should have voiced their opinion, do you?
Right, well, there's no other way to voice it, right?
Isn't it funny how Fatah in the West Bank, they don't do this sort of thing. They have regular back-channel conversations with the Israeli government, and there are relations.
How many people are there in the West Bank?
If you're going to keep talking when I'm talking because you don't like what I'm saying, I'll end the call right now.
Go ahead.
Would you like to condemn what Hamas did?
Sorry?
Would you like to condemn what Hamas did, killing hundreds, if not thousands, of Israeli citizens, beheading babies?
Well, this is the only way for them to voice their opinion.
Oh, OK, go away, Mo. I don't want anybody like you on my programme. You disgust me with that kind of attitude. There is no excuse.
Israel's a newly established state, first of all. It's not even been founded for that long, and all the people that live in Israel, the Israelis themselves, they come from different countries around the world, European countries, and whenever there's an atrocity made against Israel, it's not even an atrocity, is what the Palestinians are defending their land, they're defending what is theirs, essentially. But whenever Israel attacks Palestine, kills innocent children, innocent elderly people, civilians, in Ramadan, the Ramadan that's just gone past, which is a holy mosque for Muslims. They were storming the holy site at Al-Aqsa Mosque. None of you guys was talking about it. None of you guys cared. But now, all of a sudden, when the Palestinians try to resist and try to retaliate because they've had enough of the injustice that's been inflicted upon them, you guys are all starting
Sorry, you think, Hassan, in some way that the 800 people... you think in some way that the 800 people murdered in cold blood on Saturday is justified?
If the British government or you guys had any sort of honour, you will be on the Palestinian side. You will be saying the Palestinians have the right to... You are on the side of Hamas. Hamas is the elected government of Palestine. If they've carried out attacks...
You are on the side of the terrorist group who have just gone into Israel and murdered men, women and children. You are, Hassan, your sense of history is so short as to be risible, sir. The state of Israel has relatively recently existed. The Israel of the biblical land of milk and honey has existed for millennia. The claim over rights to that land have gone on for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. The idea that you could sit here and justify the murder of men, women and children on behalf of Hamas is a disgrace.